I never talked about this shit to nobody. I was at my lowest point. Whole lot of fucking pain. She broke up with me. It all feels like you're losing your life. Even God himself wasn't even coming to save me. Multiple women a week. I had to learn the hard way. Wasted years of my life. You aren't happy. Your fucking family. These motherfuckers don't care about you, bro. I didn't believe in God. I used to steal money from them. This is piece of shit, dude. A woman will never replace your fucking purpose. That's what I fear the most. I fucking hate my family for not letting me see my mom. Looking down on my mom lifeless in a coffin at 16. I lost my own life that day. Gentlemen, we're fucking back, and I want to talk about something very important today, right? I never really went into depth about this to anybody. None of my loved ones, nobody who's close to me, nobody. I never talked about this shit to nobody, but I'm gonna talk to you guys about it today. And I'm gonna talk about where I was at my lowest point, right? Which in previous videos you guys heard me talk about. I lost my mother when I was 16 years old, my junior year of high school to be exact, right? Pretty young, dealing with a whole lot of fucking pain. Whole lot of pain, right? And one thing that, well, first of all, I want to go through the entire story of that day. So it's just your normal day. And I just remember being at home after school, working on a project, which was for, I believe, social studies maybe. And I remember I'm sitting down at my kitchen table in my grandma's house doing a project, which is very unusual for me because I was never the type of kid to work on a project. I was never the type of kid to do my fucking homework, study for a test. I never did any of that shit, right? I usually cheated, or I just specifically didn't fucking do it at all, right? Because I was usually high 24/7 at the time, or I should say, I was usually high most of the time in school. And I just really never cared that much. The only time I really cared was to keep my grades up was during football season. During football season, hoops, not so much. I did just enough just to get by. But football season, I made sure my grades were at least anywhere between an A and a C, okay? Never below that. And I apologize in advance for the background noise. Bunch of badass fucking kids outside right now, but we'll just ignore that, okay? So, like I said, normal day in my grandma's house, at my kitchen table, working on a project. The day was already off because I was working on a fucking project. And I remember my grandma and my pap walked into the kitchen. And they just had this look on their face like they had something to say, right? And it was very unusual that my pap was there because my pap doesn't live with my grandma. My pap lives by himself, right? They're no longer together. They haven't been for years. And I just knew something was up because you can just tell by the look on her face. And I look up and they're like, Kay. My grandma calls me Kay. Kay is short for Caleb, obviously. You guys know that, right? Common sense. But she looked at me and I look up at her and she's like, Kay. And I'm like, yeah. She said, we gotta tell you something. And they didn't try to like ease their way into it. They just said it right there and then. Like, dude, your mom passed. And I just remember just being frozen, right? I still have my colored pencil in my hand. I'm coloring in the title. You guys remember those big ass poster boards? It had a title. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was coloring in and I just froze up just like this. Just stuck. And after that, man, like I sat there frozen for at least 5 minutes because it's like, am I hearing this correctly? And I remember just going up to my room after that and just being in my room for the rest of the day. Didn't talk to nobody. You know, this would be any normal person's reaction to just getting the news that your mother had died. And when I got told that news, I know my life was changed forever. I didn't know what that change would look like, but I knew that my life would never be the same from that day forward. And it changed my entire perspective at such a young age, right? I went from this teenage dude, I'll just say kid, I went from this kid to grown very quickly when it comes to emotional intelligence, right? Because I went through so much at such a young age. One of the main events was my mother's passing. And directly after that, like I said, I was in high school. It was my junior year. I had my first girlfriend at the time. And you guys know how that is in high school. When you have your first girlfriend in high school, that's like your first love. And you really love hard, especially as men. I believe men love harder than women. She broke up with me about a few weeks later after my mom's passing. So just imagine the type of pain 16-year-old me is feeling, right? And I'm sure most of you guys can relate, because no matter what type of pain it is, whether it's losing a loved one, losing a girlfriend, it all feels like you're losing your life. And I experienced both at the same fucking time. And like I was saying, it completely changed my perspective on life, right? It made me realize early on that we all have an expiration date. We all have an expiration date. And during that time, I took that same mentality that we all have an expiration date and doing negative shit with that mentality. You know, drugs and alcohol, just living like every day was my last, in the negative way, not in the positive way, right? Like I said, I was doing drugs, I was smoking, I was drinking, I was vaping. I wasn't doing any hard drugs, you know, just your nicotine, your fucking alcohol, and your weed, right? I was a big pothead, especially when I lost my mom. I turned into a big pothead. I relied on this shit 24/7. And it just completely changed my perspective. I never looked at life the same after getting that news from my grandma, right? It's just hard to explain, man. Like I matured very early on, emotionally especially, right? Because like I said, just going through all that shit at 16 years old, man, it just fucking, it paid off in the end, but in the moment it fucking sucked. Like I said, it felt like I was losing my life. It also made me realize that nobody is coming to save you, right? Because when I lost my mother, I had to realize that I had to save myself, right? It took me a few years to really get this down, but I had to realize at a young age that I had to save myself. Even God himself wasn't even coming to save me, right? No matter what excuse I told myself, no matter what my situation was, I realized I had to be the one to pull myself out of that situation, because if I didn't, then I was gonna be stuck in that hole forever. And as I get older, I'm just gonna watch the dirt pile on top of me. Every year I get older, there's just gonna be dirt that piles on top of that hole. And until I get to the end of my life, or once I get near the end of my life, I'm gonna be buried in that fucking hole damn near, right? And I'm gonna have very little time to dig myself out of that hole, you know, the older I get. And I've really understood that at a young age. So there came a certain point in my life where I realized I had to save myself, right? And I had to save myself by channeling all that pain I felt into the positive shit. I understood early on because I was always in the gym, because I played sports in high school and we had mandatory lifts when it came to football, basketball, you know, whatever sport I was playing at the time. I understood early on that releasing all my emotion that I had packed inside of me, because I'm the type of guy to not talk about anything to anybody, right? And I'm still like that to this day. But it taught me that releasing all my emotion, no matter what I was feeling at the time, into the gym, into the weights, it always made me feel better and give me what I needed in the moment. Like from a young age, I learned early on, like, I told myself when I was young, I'm like, I'm not even really after the physique. I just want to feel better. And the gym was the only place that made me feel better. No matter who I talked to, no matter what I did, the gym always made me feel better afterwards, right? And I learned that early on, 16 years old. I learned that early on, and that's what led me onto my fitness journey. And that's what got me here today. I still use that same pain today when I go to the gym. It's just like a switch that flips on when I walk into that fucking place. It's business. As soon as I walk in that motherfucker. And also, the other thing I learned early on was channeling pain into negative shit won't get you anywhere. It's like channeling my pain into drinking, smoking, going out, partying, sleeping with multiple women. I learned early on your RIO on that is nothing. You don't get anything from it but maybe an ego boost, right? I'd go and sleep with fucking multiple women a week. And the only thing it would give me is an ego boost. Like, oh yeah, I'm that dude because I slept with this chick on Monday, this one on Wednesday, and then this one on Friday. And then I went to go spend the rest of the weekend with so-and-so, right? Like, that's how I was at that time. And that didn't give me anything. There was no benefit to it. It was just a waste of time. But God himself already knew my path. He's like, God knows your path, right? As soon as you come out your fucking mother's womb, even in there, God already has your plan laid out for you. And I had to go through all of that to get to where I am today, right? I had to learn the hard way. The whole point of me getting on here and speaking to you is to get you to understand so you don't have to learn the hard way, right? But I had to learn shit the hard way, and I wasted years of my life when it came to trying to do the negative shit to make me feel better. But the only thing it realistically brought me was more pain and just that temporary feeling of being better, or feeling better, I should say. A temporary feeling of feeling better. That's all it fucking brought me. It didn't bring me shit else. No benefit, no nothing. So if you feel some type of pain, do not go and engage in the negative shit. I don't give a fuck what your buddy says. Pizza and beer on the weekends aren't happiness. You aren't happy. So don't go and do it. Fuck your friend if he says that. He's not even a fucking friend. So get rid of him, remove him from your fucking life. I had to remove all them pizza and beer motherfuckers from my life too, to get better, right? We don't talk to them type of people. We don't deal with those types of people, right? You are the most people. You are the 5 people you spend the most time with, I should say. So if the 5 people you spend your most time with are engaging in these negative fucking events, remove them from your life, because you're not gonna get anywhere, brother. I'm telling you from fucking experience. Remove them, okay? Losing my mom also taught me that nobody cares about you more than your fucking self. Not your family. Yeah, I said it. Your fucking family, not your family. Not your friends, not a random motherfucker on the street. The only motherfucker who's going to care about you the most is fucking you. So realize that. No matter what anybody says, no matter, oh man, I don't give a fuck who tells you, oh man, I love you so much. Okay, yeah, you might love me. You might love me. But you don't really mean that, right? I don't really think people understand what love actually means, right? And what caring for somebody actually means. But always realize, or always have that voice in the back of your head, that nobody cares about you more than you care about yourself. Not your girlfriend, not your pets, right? Just you. You are the only one who can care to that level of extent about your own self, right? And also, one thing I another thing I realized, I should say, is that the world just keeps moving. And let me give you guys an example of that. So when I lost my mother, obviously I was still in school at the time. I was 16, junior year. Obviously, I didn't go to school for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month maybe. And my grandma went to the school and told the principal what had happened and why I wouldn't be at school the next few weeks to a month or whatever. I can't remember the exact time of the amount of school I missed, the amount of days I missed. And I just remember coming out, or I just remember going back to school and having to catch up on so much work. Like when I showed back up, all my teachers were like, yeah, you gotta catch up on this, and this was every fucking class. Every fucking class. It was like my grandma went to the school and told the principal what had happened for no fucking reason. It was like it went in one ear and out the other. And it was just, I was failing every fucking class, obviously, because I wasn't at school for fucking weeks to a month. And I had to come back and catch up on all this work. And when I heard that from every single teacher that I had, I was just like, nobody really gives a fuck about you, right? They don't care unless it happened to them. Nobody gave a fuck that I just went through that at 16 years old. And I come back to school and I gotta catch up on all this fucking work? Are you fucking kidding me? I couldn't get like a fucking, I don't know what I was looking for. But it definitely wasn't coming back to school and catching up on half of a fucking semester, right? And I realized right there, like, damn, like, these motherfuckers don't care about you, bro. Right? Unless the only time people really care is if that thing is happening to them. And going through this at such a young age really changed my perspective when it came to God, because when I was younger, I didn't really believe in how should I word this? I really didn't believe in God. I'm gonna just say that. I didn't believe in God. Right? I would post those quotes like everybody else, you know, but I really didn't believe. And the moment that made me believe God was when it might have been the night after I lost my mother or 2 nights after that, somewhere in that time frame. But I remember I had a dream, and in that dream I was at my old house that me, my mother, and my younger brother used to live in. And I was in the kitchen specifically. Now, I couldn't see my mother, but I could hear her voice. And all I remember is seeing, it's still like fresh in my head to this day. I just remember seeing a phone. You know, one of those phones you see in like a principal's office, you know, it had the fucking black, it's like a black box almost with a dial pad on it. And when you hang up the phone, you put it back on and it just stays there. I hope I described that and you got a picture in your head. I hope I described that well, but yeah, I just remember hearing her voice through that phone. It was on speaker. And I remember her telling me that she was okay. And like I said, at the time I was in high school. Just in case you missed it, I was in high school and I was playing football at the time. Well, actually, I was just about to go into football season, my senior season, I believe. No, if I was 16, into my junior year season, okay? And she was like, keep going with football. And there might have been some other shit she said to me during that time, in that dream, which is called a visitation dream. And I just don't remember everything she said, but I do remember her saying she's okay and to keep going with football. Specifically, that's what I remember. And then the dream ended and I woke up. And you ever wake up from a dream and you feel like somebody's there? yeah, I had that feeling, and it was very, very fucking strong. Almost to the point to where it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I knew my mother was there, and I knew my mother made it to the other side, and she was okay. Like, there's no other explanation for that. In that moment, I believed God. I really just believed in God from that moment, from that point on, and until this day, it really shook me. That whole experience shook me. Right? You guys through the phone, you guys can't really understand that. Right? But yeah, man, that really just changed my whole fucking perspective on God and life after death. Vices were a big thing for me to overcome during this period of time of my life. I thought drugs were the cure to my pain at that time. And I wasn't really self-aware during this period of time. I thought just because they made me feel better in the moment that eventually I would heal from them, right? Whether it was drinking on the weekends, smoking weed 24/7. Guys, I was addicted to weed heavily. It was so bad to where I was smoking every hour to every 30 minutes, rolling up backwoods, doing GBs. I don't know if you guys ever heard of fucking GBs, but GB is short for gravity bong. You know, you put the water bottle in a fucking like a bucket or something bigger that has water in it, and you put like I don't have a water bottle here, but you know, Great Value water bottle, whatever you guys drink out of, sparkling, whatever. And you put a wrench socket in the cap, and you put weed in there, you grind it up, or you break it up with your fingers, whatever. You light it, and it creates so much smoke. It milks. We'd be like, oh, bro, that's milky. Because it looked like fucking milk, literally. And you pull it up, take the cap off. As you pull it back, as you push it back down, so the smoke comes in, you know, boom. Yeah, used to do that. Rolled joints, like everything. I did everything. There wasn't one thing I didn't do with weed, right? I was a stoner. It was to the point to where I fried my brain. It was to the point to where I couldn't even talk to people. I couldn't have regular conversations with people without feeling self-conscious about how I spoke at the time, because I just couldn't speak to people, guys, because I grew up as a shy kid. I'm still shy to this day, right? But it was to the point to where I avoided all conversation with anybody, if possible, because I was just so not confident in my communication skills. So I would avoid all speaking with people. And so about 16 to fucking, I say 20, 21, I was in that cycle, right? I think I quit smoking weed when I was 21, maybe 20, 21. I quit smoking weed first because I knew that was it. That motherfucker had to go, and then I quit drinking last. But yeah, 16 years old me, I'd smoke weed every day, and then on the weekends go out, find a party with the boys, that type of thing. And if I had if somebody had bought me a bottle, like one of the older senior guys, or not older senior guys, because at the time they're 18, they're not 21. We used to get people to buy us bottles. I don't know how, but we did. And if we got somebody to buy us a bottle, we go to the party, obviously. I always made sure to have a little left for when I got home. I always made sure I had some type of liquor left over, beer, whatever I could get my hands on. Seltzers. I was real big on Trulies back then. That was when Trulies was very popular. So, but most of the time, it was just weed. I was high 24/7. I'd sneak a pen into school. I don't know if you guys remember the carts. Those were real big when I was in high school. We used to sneak carts into school. I used to sneak them in all the time. I was that guy in school. You trying to get high, I'll get a random person add me on Snapchat and then text me, hey bro, can you meet me in the bathroom? And I already knew what the fuck they were talking about. Everybody was hitting my shit. I always had something because I just didn't want to feel that pain. But at that time, I kind of understood that putting that pain into something positive would benefit you in the end. But at the same time, the devil still had a hold of me. So I was losing myself with vices. Like I said, drinking, smoking, porn was a big one for me. I was heavily addicted to porn, just up until the last year, bro. Heavily addicted to that shit. I'll save that for another time, but I was heavily addicted to porn. And like I was so addicted to weed that I would steal money from fucking my grandma. And I used to live with my grandma and her sister, which is my great aunt. I used to steal money from them to always to buy weed. Like I always just had to have weed. If I didn't have weed, I'd fucking lose my mind. I was a fiend. It was so bad to where I would scrape the res off of my bong piece or the wrench socket, get enough of that, and smoke that. Like that's how bad it was. And if I wasn't doing that, then I had weed. But I only stole money a handful of times, which was unacceptable. But 16-year-old me, 17-year-old me didn't really know how to fucking channel his pain into anything else, because I was never taught anything from anybody when it came to that type of thing, right? You don't really know how to deal with that type of pain until you're going through it. And yeah, man, like I said, I was heavily addicted to weed, man. I was high 24/7. There was never not a point where I wasn't high. I can probably find a picture of me in school high, or me doing something in school, and that'll be the proof right there. Like I was high 24/7. And that led me like holding myself back in sports, right? I played most sports: football, basketball, wrestling, track one year. I did baseball one year. So I did most sports. And in football, it definitely held me back. I forgot to mention I was heavily addicted to vaping too. There was never not a moment where I didn't have a vape as well. Weed and the vape were real big for me, and then drinking on the weekends. But heavily addicted to vaping, smoke. I was doing that 24/7, every chance I could get, even in the classroom, right? Like I'd pull my hoodie sleeve to where it's hanging over my hand, right? And I'd go in my pocket, pull out my vape, hit it through the fucking sleeve, and put it back in my pocket, and just sit there and hold it smoking so nobody saw it. Like, it was that bad. Yeah, it's so stupid now looking back at it. But all that shit held me back in football for sure, basketball for sure. And honestly, it held me back in every single sport. My main sport was football, and it definitely held me back in football because I was so worried about getting high, playing video games, hitting my vape, partying on the weekends. When I was at football, it was about football. But like even then, we would hit the pen in the locker room, in the bathroom, before practice. Now motherfuckers would do it before games. I didn't know how. I'd be tweaking out if I did it before a game, but most of the time I did it, for practice, never the game. I never had the balls to do that. Them motherfuckers are a different breed doing it before the game, man. Fuck that. Most of them would do good though. And it's like, bro, how are you catching the ball when you're high as fuck like that? I couldn't, when it came to doing shit like that, like trying to catch a ball high as fuck, it wouldn't end well. But anyway, yeah, it held me back in sports, bro. And I went through a fuck ton of money because I would always get like a weekly allowance per se. It wasn't like, my grandma was never like, oh yeah, you're gonna get a weekly allowance. It was just me just asking for money, to like go to a friend's house, go to the mall, shit like that. Like I'd lie and say shit like that, but realistically I'd blow it on weed. Weed or another vape, more pods, fucking vape juice, whatever. I don't even want to know how much money I spent of my grandma's money, my dad's money. Just any time I had my hands on some sort of money, that motherfucker would go to some sort of drug. Weed, liquor, or vaping. Guys, I actually just brought up something. Now, do you guys remember when you would get tickets or cards to sell for football for a fundraiser? Me and my boys were so heavily addicted to weed that we went and sold those, and we went and purchased carts after. That's how addicted to weed we were. And you know you're supposed to return that money back to your coach. You're supposed to give it back to your coach in an envelope. Guess what we did? We kept it and fucking blew it on weed and carts. We made the fucking, should I say a few $100 maybe? I don't really remember, but fuck, we really were pieces of shit, right? Because we knew people would buy those cards, right? We're just fundraising for the football team. Little did they know, we were all stoners. We were all Wiz Khalifas. Got that money. Didn't even hesitate, right? That was our objective from the jump. We were like, guys, let's go sell these and get fucking fried. I was so dumb, man. Oh, God, we were pieces of shits. That's what I'm going to say. We were definitely pieces of shits. Another thing that losing my mother made me realize when it came to women was I always felt the need to be with one, because I think what created that feeling of me always needed to be with women was not having my mom most of my life, right? Like, I grew up with my mom until I was about, say, 7 or 8, maybe even younger. But due to her being heavily addicted to drugs, like, I couldn't live with her, right? And part of me always knew, like, getting that news that my mom would pass would always come. So, like, part of me was prepared for it, but obviously nobody's really prepared for that. But back to the women, I always felt the need to always have one. And I really think that's because I lost my mom and she was missing for half of my life. So I always felt the need to have a female. I think that's what created that feeling in me, right? And I always did have one. I'd break up with one, be with another one within the next week. I'd be with one, talking to multiple others. Like, I was just never satisfied with the current female I had. It was always like, oh yeah, once I get this chick, like, I'm gonna chill out. But there was always that other feeling, that other urge, I should say, to have another female on the side, right? It's not a good thing, guys. Like, everybody always thinks, oh yeah, multiple women's good. It's not, it's really not, right? Having one woman is enough. Having one girl in your life who is down for you in every single way, who supports everything you're doing, right? Who believes in your dreams as much as you do, is the key to life. Having a good partner is the key to life, not having multiple. It's retarded. I don't believe in that shit. Other people do, whatever. I've been there, done that. Doesn't get you anywhere, right? Because doing that, you don't really get to know the main girl that you're with, because you're always too busy worried about these side motherfuckers. That the main one could be the one, but you don't know because you don't really take the time to invest. And then boom, you lose out on that partner, and you're on to the next. You're like, fuck it, because I already have a backup. But in reality, that could have been the one. So that's my perspective on multiple women. Other people might not agree, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to agree with anybody, right? I'm not here to please anybody, right? I'm just speaking my truth. So I also always expected that female I was with to fill in the missing piece, right? Whether that missing piece was the absence of my mom during my childhood, or just the missing piece in general, right? And I tried to replace a female with my own purpose, And I was stuck like that for years, chasing women. Once I get this one, I'll be good. Once I get this one, I'll be good. Once I get this next one, I'll be good. But in reality, the problem was fucking me. It was me. I wasn't aligned with my purpose. I wasn't living my purpose, right? I was this piece of shit dude, you know, treating all these good women like dirt, or even sometimes even fucking worse, because I never took the time to work on myself. And all the fucking emotion and shit I had built up in me, mixed with not really knowing how to treat females. None of my relationships really ended on a good note because of me. But I always played the victim card. I always manipulated the female to believe that the problem was her. And for the most time, it fucking worked, which is sickening as fuck, right? I'm not afraid to say it. There's nothing that I'm not gonna tell the truth about, right? I'm here to give you guys every little fucking detail, right? I'm not holding back on nothing. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you're judging me or not. I really don't, right? Because it don't mean shit to me. I'm here to teach you guys from experience, so you guys don't make the same fucking mistake I once did, right? I went through the hard time already, so take it from me and not to be like that. And yeah, like I said, I just expected women to replace my purpose, when in reality, that would never be the case in any fucking life with any man. A woman will never replace your fucking purpose. Your calling of your purpose, of your path, will always be louder than the female you are with at that time. It will always be louder. That voice will always be screaming at you like, hey, you're not on your fucking path, bro. I don't care what woman you have, you're not on your path. It'll literally be it will be screaming at you, and you'll think something's wrong with you mentally, but in reality, that's your conscience. And your conscience is the authentic voice of God. So start listening to it. And I had a lot of built up anger in me from experiencing the loss of my mother. And one of them being with God. I was angry at God. I remember the night of my mother's passing. I'm just sitting there like, why God? Why me? Why me? At the time, I didn't understand. But years later, now I understand. Because like I mentioned earlier, before we are even born, God has our path, our mission, our plan, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's all laid out. It's all laid out. But he says, before you are born, he looks down and he says, the choice is yours. So you're either going to fucking follow your path or you're not. Most people choose not to. And that's what I fear the most. Not listening to his calling. But like I said, I was angry at God. And I didn't understand at the time. But now that I'm older, I understand. It's part of my purpose, right? That was supposed to happen to me. So I could become who the fuck I am today. There's never anything that I face today, pain, adversity, hardship, whatever the fuck you want to call it, anything that comes my way that is negative, any negative event that comes my way, I'm like, bring more. I want more pain. Give me all the pain, because I know on the other side of that pain is fucking growth. I know all I'm gonna get is a level up. I know that's all I'm gonna get is the next version of myself. So give me all the pain. I don't give a fuck how hard it is. I'm always gonna overcome that pain. There ain't nothing that can fucking break me. If 16-year-old me can lose his fucking mother and then his girlfriend about a month after, a few weeks after, and can get through that, then there's nothing that I can't get through. There's nothing that can break me. I'm unfucking breakable. And that's the type of mindset that experiencing this losing my mother at a young age, and then losing my girlfriend 3 weeks after, a month after. Crazy. It's the type of mindset, unbreakable fucking mindset. There's nothing in this fucking world that can break me. The only motherfucker who could break you is you. So stop breaking yourself. Because you are fully in control of whether you break or not, whether you follow God's plan or not. It's up to you. And I'm not going to leave this earth without following his plan. I'd rather die. And that's the type of mindset you need when it comes to your purpose. When it comes to your purpose, it's life or fucking death. Imagine dying, getting up to them gates, God opening up them gates, and him looking you in the eyes, and he's like, you didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me. How does that make you feel? Because that brings tears to my eyes. There's tears coming to my eyes right now just thinking about that. That's what I fear the most in this life, is regretting. Just regretting like a motherfucker. Just soaking in this big pile of regret at the end of my life, on my fucking deathbed. Like, damn, I wish I would have done that when I was 23. Damn, I wish I'd have quit smoking that. Damn, I wish I'd have quit sleeping with multiple women. Damn, I wish I'd have went in on that fucking business. Damn, I wish I'd have went all in on my physique. Because maybe I would have got a couple more years if I decided to extend the one life I already have through fitness, through nutrition, right? Choice is yours, bro. So what the fuck are you gonna do with it? Right? And another thing was like, I was very angry with my family for not letting me see my mom grow up. But like I said, at the time, immature mindset, I didn't understand why. Right? I knew my mom was doing drugs, but I didn't know how that could affect me as a young kid, right? Because it already did. Because she was already absent in my life. It was already affecting me in ways that I didn't know. I was unaware, right? I wasn't as intelligent when it came to emotions as I am now, right? So I didn't understand it at the time. So at the time, I'm like, man, I fucking hate my family for not letting me see my mom. But in the end, it benefited me. They were saving me. They didn't want me to see her like that. And I was also angry at my mom for never reaching out to me. Never. Not once did she reach out to me. I saw her once, years prior to her passing, right? I never thought I was I had blonde hair at the time, blonde tips. So that was 8th grade. I dyed my hair blonde in 8th grade because I liked Odell Beckham Jr., right? That was when he hit that big one-hand catch. Yeah, I loved that. And I looked up to him after that, so I dyed my hair blonde. That's how I remember what grade I was in, because it was 8th grade. I dyed my hair blonde. And that was the last time I seen my mother before she died, right? Before I went to go see her in a coffin at 16, right? Looking down on my mom lifeless in a coffin at 16. Imagine that, huh? Imagine that. Just, still to this day, man, worst pain I've ever felt in my fucking life. Felt like I lost my own life that day, right? That's why I can speak on so many things, man. That's why I look at pain now and just laugh. Everything's laughable to me. Nothing can faze me. There's nothing that can faze me on this fucking earth. Because I've experienced every emotion there is. From the lowest depths, right? From the bottom of the fucking ocean. And the last but not least that I want to cover today, guys, is I was depressed, right? I felt depressed as fuck during this moment of my life. And I used it as an excuse to not do anything about my situation. And the reason why I really wanted to say this until last is because I see a lot of people use depression as an excuse to not better their current situation, right? And they think depression is just this disease that just fell from the fucking sky, but when in reality, it's just a feeling, right? So you're telling me you can't do anything because of how you feel, right? We've all fucking used that excuse. That's not an excuse anymore. Everybody always uses that excuse. Depression isn't a fucking excuse to not change your current situation, right? And during that time, I used it a lot. and it didn't get me anywhere. I wasted years of my fucking life. So if you're using that as an excuse, it's time to find a fucking new excuse, baby, bitch. Because, like I said, I used it myself. That was the main excuse I used for not doing anything. Oh, you're not going to school? Now I'm depressed. Oh, you're not doing your homework? Now I'm depressed. Oh, you're not cleaning your room? I'm depressed. Oh, all you do is smoke weed? I'm depressed. All you do is drink on the weekends? I'm depressed. You're sleeping with multiple women? I'm depressed. Get caught cheating? Oh, I'm depressed. Yeah. For everything. Oh, I'm depressed. If that's you, motherfucker, you better change that perspective real fucking quick, because you're gonna get left behind. You're gonna get fucking buried in that hole. And they're gonna throw cement on top of it, so you'll never fucking get out. So get out now while you fucking can. I believe there was a fucking disease that fell from the fucking sky, right? And it's not, like I said, it's just a fucking feeling. Yeah, you can feel depressed and still go to the gym. You can feel depressed and still take that risk. You can feel depressed and decide to better your current situation. Depression is not an excuse to not work towards being a better version of your fucking self. The only people who use that excuse are baby fucking bitches. And if you're a grown man using depression as a fucking excuse to not better your current situation, to not go and work on your health and fitness, like I said, you're cooked, bro. And you're literally died. Like, you died, but you're still awake. You're not even you. You're not even in control of your fucking self. Satan got a hold of you, motherfucker. And you better get out that fucking hole quick. But yeah, man, and that's how my mom's death fucking at 16 changed my life forever. I hope you guys liked that video. I'm fucking back. It's been about a month or two. I took some time off, but we're back. Three fucking videos a week, and I will not miss. You guys got my fucking word. All my all to the day I fucking fall.